chat options. Okay. All right. Let's get going. You're very welcome back to the channel. And yeah, it's an amazing, bright, sunny day. I don't know where you're tuned in from. I hope you're having a very good day. I hope your weather is great. For those in Uganda, I hope you're winding down great. For those in the US, I know that you're just waking up, so I hope you're getting ready for a very good day. Yeah, it's an honor to have you on the live stream today. So today this being the second live stream in this series, today we'll be going to law number 3, number 4, number 4, 5, and 6. The previous live stream we were doing law number 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, we'll delve in straight into the live stream and sort of learn as much as we can within the next 30 minutes. So first of all, as a brief recap, I hope you guys learned a thing or two from the previous live stream where we discussed law number 1 that says never outshine your master. And then law number 2, where we talked about never putting too much trust in friends and learning how to use enemies instead. Yeah, I hope you remember that and get to learn from it. Now, the idea behind that is that friends know too much about you and can always use that information as a weapon. And information weaponized can be dangerous. While your enemies have a lot to prove, if you hire an enemy, a former enemy, and now an acquaintance or an ally, whatever you call it, they really have something to prove. They're trying to show you that they are reformed people, that they are changed people. Yeah. And then law number 3 was about concealing your intentions. Yeah, that's as clear as it can get. Giving people decoys and speaking vaguely and all around that to conceal your intentions. So today we move on to law number 4. I have taken down a few notes, but also we'll be referencing the book. There are a few pieces that I want to get you guys direct from the book. Oh, it doesn't look straight or what? Or is it just me or the camera? All right, so we go straight to law number 4. And meanwhile, feel free to subscribe and turn on your notifications bell if this is the kind of thing that you're into, because next we'll be reading the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. Those of you who watched the Dallas conference, you saw the transformation going on with John C. Maxwell and the entire Maxwell Leadership Foundation. So it would be very, very good to have you when we get to discuss the 21 Irrefutable of Leadership. But now let's continue with the 48 Laws of Leadership. And yeah, feel free to subscribe and keep posted whenever we go live. So law number 4 says, always say less than necessary. Always say less than necessary. When you're trying to impress people, and this is a judgment, when you're trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control. Even if you're saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague and open-minded and things like. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. They both impress and intimidate by saying less. I can't add anything to that. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish. and the more desperate you will most likely sound. Yeah, so there's a there's this from the Little Brown Book of Anecdotes, Clifton Ferdman, 1985, and he says, down on his luck, the screenwriter Michael Allen went to New York in 1944. To drown his sorrows, he paid a visit to the famous restaurant 21. In the lobby, he ran into Sam Goldwyn, who offered the somewhat impractical advice that he should buy racehorses. At the bar, Allen met Louis B. Mayer, an old acquaintance, who asked him what were his plans for the future. I was just talking to Sam Goldwyn, began Allen. How much did he offer you? Interrupted Mayer. Not enough. He replied evasively. Would you take 15,000 for 30 weeks? Asked Mayer. No hesitation this time. Yes, said Allen. So I hope this feeds a bit into the transgression of the law, but first, before we get into the complexities, let us first of all get into the very basic pointers. Every extra word you speak is ammunition for your enemy. The most powerful people in the room say the least. Imagine you're in a boardroom and your CEO opens a meeting and talks about everything instead of listening to feedback and responding to feedback and addressing what the employees need. So, when you speak too much, you give away your thoughts and appear desperate. Actually, well, if you ask me, it's not just appearing desperate. Usually, when you speak too much, you actually are desperate. And then power comes from silence and carefully measured words. Like when you take long to speak, you have probably taken time to think through what you're actually going to say. So when you finally say it, it makes sense and people will sort of believe what you're saying and listen more, and because you've listened to them. Eh, I think listening as a skill is as good as the skill of speaking. You can't just speak always. Sometimes you have to stop and listen and get perspectives from the different people who you may respect or not, but they might have a thing to say. Yeah, and there is a common phrase that King Louis used to say, the "I shall see" phrase, and in Uganda here this is Africa, East Africa, and in Uganda there's it's a very common saying where whenever a chick, the lady or girl, whatever you call it, asks a guy for money or anything, any needs, the most natural response is "I shall see." So King Louis has converts here and apprentices. And then use short and open-ended answers to create mystery and power. When someone tells you anything and you say, okay, that's about it. They don't know if you're okay with it, if you're not okay with it. It's just a short and open-ended answer that creates mystery and keeps them somewhere. And then the more you explain, the weaker you look. Imagine if someone asked you a simple question of, where were you today? And instead of saying, I was in Kampala, I was in Barara, I was in Kabale, you start to say, so in the morning, I first went here. Like the more you explain, the more you actually give away in terms of how not genuine you are. And then silence makes others nervous. Use that. Whenever you can, don't speak. Like don't say too much. In a meeting, in a boardroom, in a meeting for your circle, the annual general meeting, whatever, like the people there have really prepared to speak. So if you've come to attend, listen. The least you can do is just listen. Yeah. And then when you finally speak to give direction, not to fill space. Some people just speak because I am part of this meeting, so I have to speak. They have to know I was here. That's not a good way to represent yourself and your entire clan. Yeah. Then also, when you make your point, make it once And when you make it, just don't repeat yourself over and over again. Just make it once. Yeah. In negotiations, whoever speaks a lot loses. Whoever speaks next loses. Whoever speaks and consults and takes suggestions and opinions loses. Don't over negotiate. You want the deal so much so that you take it off the table. And by taking it off the table, you actually bring it on the table. Yeah. So, yeah, those are some of the pointers, and then we can get back to the book, and then we'll move on to law 5 and 6, and we will call it a day for today. Yeah. So one often told tale about Kinsinger involved the report that Winston Lord had worked on for days. After giving it to Kinsinger, he got it back with the notion, is this the best you can do? Lord rewrote and polished and finally resubmitted it. Back it came with the same cut question. After redrafting it one more time and once again getting the same question from Kinsinger, Lord snapped, "Damn it! Yes, it's the best I can do." To which Kinsinger replied, "Fine then. I guess I'll read it this time." So it means he had not read it from the onset. And this is Kinsinger by Walter Isaacson. That should be 1992, around there. Yeah. So oysters open completely when the moon is full, and when the crab sees one, it throws a piece of stone and suet into it, and the oyster cannot lose again, so that it serves the crab for meat. Such is the fate of him who opens his mouth too much and thereby puts his mercy at he puts himself at the mercy of the listener. I'll repeat that. It's by Da Vinci, Leonardo da Vinci, 1952, 1519. Such is the fate of him who opens his mouth too much and thereby puts himself at the mercy of the listener. Yeah, the king, that's King Louis, maintains the most impenetrable secrecy about affairs of state. Da, 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 da. Anyway, in the interest of time, this might not be very necessary, but let me read you this. Undutiful words of a subject do often take deeper root than the memory of ill deeds. The late Earl of Essex told Queen Elizabeth that her conditions were as crooked as her carcass, but it cost him his head, which his insurrection had not cost him but for that speech. That's Sir Walter Raleigh, 1554, 1618. Anyway, let's just go over the authority and move on to law number 5. Thank you guys for tuning in. I can see you guys. The authority is never start moving your own lips and teeth before the subordinates do. And if you're a subordinate, you know what to do. Don't over move your mouth and lips. The longer I keep quiet, the sooner others move their lips and teeth. As they move their lips and teeth, I can thereby understand their real intentions. If the sovereign is not mysterious, the ministers will find opportunity to take and take. Han Feizu is a Chinese philosopher from the 3rd century before Christ. Yep, I hope we are learning together. That's coming close to 15 minutes. So law number 1 for today, which is law number 4 according to the book. And there, I don't know what you guys think. You can type in the comments what you like from that and what you learn. Yeah, very interesting. So that is it for law number 4. I don't think I've missed anything. So law number 5. So law number 5 is another very, very fundamental topic, rather low, because it has a lot to do with your reputation. And the point here is that you can lose all the money that you want to lose, but losing your reputation, you may never recover. With money, you can lose money and make money, lose money and make money. But with here, you may never recover when you lose your reputation. Yeah. And then your reputation is the foundation of power. The much power you have is very likely proportionate to the level of influence that you have, and the much, like, your reputation really informs what people attach to your name and what precedes you. You think about it this way: what happens when you're not in the room, and when you're not there, what do people say about you? And when they say it, is it actually a true reflection of who you are? So guard your reputation at whatever cost. Yeah. And now the thing about it is, guarding your reputation with people that have a lot to do with power, they actually even build it. They build it and protect it, and some of them build it in very shady ways. There is a one P.T. Barnum who engineered controversies and myths around himself so that his name alone drew crowds rather. His reputation did the marketing before he spent a cent. For him, his strategy was to have controversies and myths going around about him, and that way he would sort of have influence and save on his marketing budget. Crazy way to look at it if you ask me, but yeah, this is practical. A strong reputation makes obstacles disappear before you reach them. If you know someone well enough to know what they can and can't do, usually you can say, did they say Joel took that money? No, I don't think Joel can do that. Did they say so and so came late? No, I don't think that meeting was on his schedule. Like, it helps you solve problems before they actually get to you, because people know what to expect of you and about you and from you. And then this is a very controversial one. I'm curious to know what you think. Attack your enemy's reputation is their foundation. And wow, Robert Greene goes bare knuckle here. Attack your opponent's reputation. And it happens a lot in politics. We recently concluded an election here in Uganda, and clearly you can see people attack each other's reputation because they know that at its core, it's a foundation. It's what informs how people perceive you and how much they listen to you. And then this is also very important. Never ignore a slight to your reputation. Address it immediately. If they say Joel did ABC, don't let it slide and say no, they will be fine. Instead, address it and correct it, because it is your reputation. And it matters that you have a good reputation. So if people are saying things that you did not actually do, why not come out and address it? And then, but also along with those lines, find like a defining quality where they can say that if you want to get this done, talk to Joel. He's the best person that will help you get this done. Not the other way around of her. Why did you give that role to Joel? He might not be there to see it through. Yeah. Those are some of the pointers from law number 5. And let's just go over its judgment and a few pointers here, and then we'll move on to law number 6. And yeah, call it enough for today. Subscribe, because I'll be going live every day to discuss with you at least 3 laws from what I've read until we are done with this book, 48 Laws of Power, and next we'll do the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. So yeah, law number 5, again, just to re-echo for those that have just joined. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. And the judgment here is, reputation is the cornerstone of power. Through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win. Once it sleeps, however, you are vulnerable and will be attacked on all sides. Make your reputation unassailable. Always be alert to potential attacks and thwart them before they happen. Meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their own reputations. Then stand aside and let public opinion hang them. How unfair can that be? But so some of these laws are unfair, really. And I know a lot of you Christians who I believe will be on this channel will disagree with me on this one. Like, meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies. If I teach you to destroy your enemies, you might say Joel is now teaching controversial things, but this is practical information. And it's not just Robert Greene saying it, but we see it play out every day in politics, in elections, in the US, in Uganda, in the UK, in Iran, in Israel, everywhere. Like, politics is politics. So yeah, some will just let your enemies destroy you by opening holes in your reputation, and then the public will give you their honest, quote-unquote, opinions, rather. Yeah. So there is this quote from Montaigne, 1533 to 1592. For as C.L. says, even those who argue against fame still want the books they write against it to bear their name in the title and hope to become famous for despising it. Everything else is subject to barter. We will let our friends have our goods and our lives if need be. But a case of sharing our fame and making someone else the gift of our reputation is hardly to be found. Yep. Very interesting. There's another very interesting story. The animal was stricken with a plague. I think you should look for it. It's from the Best Fables of La Fontaine, Jean de La Fontaine, 1621. I hope you look it up and do your own study with that. Then there is another quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, 1844 to 1900. It is easier to cope with a bad conscience than with a bad reputation. Thank you guys for joining. It is easier to cope with a bad conscience than with a bad reputation. Crazy as that may sound. And then the authority here is, therefore, I should wish our courtier to bolster up his inherent worth with skill and cunning, and ensure that whatever he has to go where he is a stranger, he is preceded by a good reputation. Imagine that. Preceded by a good reputation. For the fame which appears to rest on the opinions of many fosters a certain unshakable belief in a man's worth, is then easily strengthened in minds already thus disposed and prepared. That's Baldassar Castiglione, 1478-1529. Yep, I hope you're learning a thing or two. Feel free to ask, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications bell. It's such an honor that you join in and listen in. I don't know if you're listening in just because you're my friend and you're just listening to your small creator friend trying to achieve a thing or two, or if you're genuinely interested in what we're actually reading. But if you are subscribed, turn on your notifications bell. We'll be very happy to host you again here and learn. Yeah, so law number 6 is court attention at all costs. Court attention at all costs. And the judgment here is, everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd, then or buried in oblivion. Never. Stand out. Be conspicuous at all costs. The part of all costs scares me every time I read it. Because all cost includes all cost. Includes it could go to very, very dangerous extent. Yeah. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. Yeah. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. Yeah. So draw attention to yourself by creating an unforgettable, even controversial image. There are very interesting examples here locally in Uganda of how people will go and make very controversial statements and start very controversial wars, especially the musicians. I won't mention names, but I'm pretty sure you've seen them on the news. They intentionally go viral, quote unquote, not for the good reason, but just for the whole idea in courting attention. And as soon as they have the attention they need, another song goes out, and it's a banger because I mean everyone is talking about them and what they are. Then Robert Greene even makes it worse. He says, quote, scandal. Do anything to make yourself seem larger than life and shine more brightly than those around you. Make no distinction between kinds of attention. Notoriety of any sort will bring you power. Better to be slandered and attacked than to be ignored. Yeah. Very interesting lessons. Pietro Aretino once said, the 1492 to 1556, said, even when I am railed at, I get my quota of renown. Even when I'm railed at. Yeah. So Baldassi again, Castiglione, says that if the courtier happens to engage in arms in some public spectacle, such as jousting, he will ensure that the horse he has is beautifully caparisoned, that he himself is suitably attired, with appropriate motors and ingenious devices to attract the eyes of the onlookers in his direction, as surely as the lodestone attracts iron. But that's a very, very interesting. Yeah. Maybe I'll just read you the authority and then go to my pointers, and then we will call it a day. See, it's already 28 minutes. It's already 28 minutes, and the plan is to end somewhere around 30. Thank you for joining. Subscribe if you will, if this is the kind of thing that you're into, and let's continue to have these conversations together. Be ostentatious and be seen. That's the authority. What is not seen is as though it did not exist. It was light that first caused all creation to shine forth. Display fills up many blanks, covers up deficiencies, and gives everything a second life, especially when it is backed by genuine merit. Balthazar Gracian, this is 1601, 1658. All right, so tomorrow, tomorrow we'll start with loan number 7. Loan number 7 is another very controversial law as well. It says, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Imagine how dangerous that is. Use the wisdom, knowledge, and legwork of other people to further your own cause. Not only will such assistance save you valuable time and energy, it will give you a godlike aura of efficiency and speed. In the end, your helpers will be forgotten and you will be remembered. Never do yourself what others can do for you. Yeah. Yeah. So most of my comments, most of my takeaways here really resonate with what we've already discussed, but I'll just go through them. It's better to be ignored. If you don't take anything from this live, just take these few pointers. I'll just go for them. It's better to be be hated than to be ignored. Hmm? Instead of being ignored, be hated. And that's in the game of power, really. Attention is a currency. Create mystery, star controversy, do the unexpected, anything to keep eyes on you. If you're a politician, if you court power, if that's the kind of thing that you're into. Make an entrance always. How you show up matters. And then controversy creates the buzz, even more than what's agreeable. Don't fear it. Do the opposite of what is expected. I already mentioned something around that. And then be memorable, not just good. It can be a good memory or a bad memory, but the whole point in getting power, because these are 48 laws of power, the whole point is get the power. So the memory has to be good or bad, but there has to be a memory. Yeah, it's more like here on YouTube, your YouTube thumbnail is very important, and your title. That alone can trap in like people, and you have all the attention that you need. Anyway, that's it for today's live stream. The goal was to end at 30, but I see we are already 2 minutes into the extra time. I hope you got a bit of value from what we shared. I hope you're learning. Please subscribe. Let us keep in touch. Let us learn together to the glory of God's mighty name. So thank you, and yeah, have an amazing life, an amazing stay. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to turn on your notifications bell, because we'll be going live every day, and we would love to host you through and through. Bye. I'll catch you guys on the next video.